There is a graveyard inside your house. You know exactly where it is. It's that dusty guitar in the corner you haven't tuned in months. It's the stack of language books on your shelf, bought with burning hope, now serving as coasters. It's the half-finished code sitting in a folder named New Project on your desktop. Society has a name for people like you. They call you flaky. They say you lack grit. They use that backhanded compliment, jack of all trades, master of none. But what if I told you that everything they told you is wrong? What if your tendency to quit isn't a moral failure, but a biological glitch in a brain designed for greatness? Today, we're going to fix that glitch. We're going to look at the neuroscience of why you quit, and more importantly, how to train the specific willpower muscle that separates the dabbler from the genius. Most people think passion is the fuel for success. It's not. Passion is just the starter motor. When you start something new, let's say photography, your brain is in a state called the novice high. Cognitive scientists call this the knowledge instinct. Your brain is wired to reduce uncertainty. When everything is new, the learning curve is steep. You go from zero to something in days. Because the rate of information gain is massive, your brain floods your system with dopamine. It feels like falling in love. You think, this is finally the one. But then, you hit the plateau. You understand the core logic. You know how the aperture works. Suddenly, the novelty evaporates. The learning curve flattens, and for a brain like yours, a brain high in curiosity, the dopamine shuts off like a light switch. This is the fork in the road. A master pushes through because they seek deeper patterns. But a dabbler quits here because they are refusing to act without fuel. You aren't lazy, you are experiencing dopamine withdrawal. But here is the brutal reality check. Is it just dopamine, or is there a physical weakness in your brain? Recent Harvard studies have identified a specific region that actually grows when you struggle. If yours is small, you will never finish anything. We'll look at that in 60 seconds. Before we talk about your brain's willpower muscle, we need to address the ego. A dabbler often quits because they hit the first real obstacle and their ego takes a hit. They run away from the feeling of being bad at something. This brings us to the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, or the aMCC. Think of the aMCC as a physical muscle inside your frontal lobe. Neuroscience shows this area engages only when you do something you do not want to do. If you love the task, the aMCC sleeps. If you hate the task but do it anyway, the aMCC fires. For a chronic quitter, the aMCC is atrophied. It's like a weak bicep that can't lift a water bottle. Every time you felt bored in the past and picked up your phone to scroll TikTok, you put the weight down. You made the muscle weaker. Now, even a slightly difficult chapter in a book feels like a marathon you can't finish. Stop blaming your personality. Start blaming your training. The good news? This region is plastic. It can grow at any age. Super ages, people in their 80s with the memory of 20-year-olds, all have one thing in common: thick, powerful aMCCs. They spend a lifetime doing the hard thing. So how do we send your brain to the gym? Enter the 15% push. Do not try to go from dabbler to Navy SEAL overnight. You will break. Instead, use progressive overload. When you're practicing your hobby and that familiar urge to quit hits, that moment where the boredom starts to feel like physical pain, do not stop. But do not force yourself to work for 4 more hours either. Just push for 15% more. If you plan to read 10 pages and want to stop at page 5, read to page 6. That tiny gap, that extra rep of doing what you didn't want to do, is exactly how you thicken the aMCC. Over time, that weak muscle becomes strong enough to carry you through the boredom plateau. But what if your brain is literally wired differently? What if you have ADHD? The strategy changes completely, and if you follow the grit advice alone, you might burn out your entire nervous system. For the ADHD brain, Internal grit isn't enough. You need external scaffolding. 1. Task visualization. Your brain can't process future reward. You need to see the progress physically. Use a sticker chart, a progress bar, anything tactile. 2. Body doubling. Work in a cafe or on a Zoom call with a friend. Borrow their focus to supplement your own. 3. Gamification. Since your dopamine is naturally low, you must engineer artificial rewards. Finally, we have to talk about the silent killer. Boredom intolerance. We live in a world of supernormal stimuli. TikTok, Instagram, sugar, and high-octane video games. Your brain is calibrated to high-intensity noise. When you try to do the quiet work of mastery, you feel like you're suffocating. You need a dopamine reset, not a monk-like retreat, but stimulus control. When you work on your one thing, put the phone in another room. Turn off the background music. Allow yourself to feel the boredom. Boredom is not a sign to quit. It is the feeling of your brain shifting gears from consumption to creation. I have a challenge for you. A 6-month identity shift. Pick one interest, just one. Commit to it for 6 months. Not to become a world-class expert, but to experience the plateau and stay there. Use the 15% push. Train the aMCC. Once you prove to yourself that you can push through the dip, you unlock a new identity. You are no longer a dabbler. You are a polymath in training. If you're ready to stop leaving a trail of unfinished dreams, download my aMCC training protocol in the description. It includes an interest audit to help you pick your one thing. In the next video, we're going to discuss the polymath career strategy. How to build a life that honors all your interests without losing your focus. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Pick your weight, start the rep. I'll see you in the next one.